Hey, welcome to my AP Computer Science final project. This is my project that I've been working on. It's a Roblox game, and I have been working on it before the project started, but I decided to continue it for the project. And basically, I'm going to only be going over what I actually worked on the project and ignoring everything else because there's a lot of it and I don't really have time to go over it. Alright, so to start, I'm basically just going to be showing you the basics of how the game works. So it's a mining game. You can think of it kind of like Minecraft, I guess. So up here is like the amount of money that you have. This is the amount of blocks you've mined. This is the depth. And then over here is a little inventory system that shows a specific type of block, how many you have, and of each, and then it will show you the total worth of your inventory and the amount of ores in your inventory. So basically, you have a pickaxe, and you'll click on a specific block, and it will mine it, and then it will generate more blocks below it. So, as you can see, I mined down here, and now it's generated some more blocks. So, the basic block, if it doesn't generate any other block, it will just generate dirt at this specific depth. And if you go deeper, it will generate a different block. So I'll go to like stone and obsidian and bedrock and stuff like that. The deeper you go, and more rare and valuable ores will spawn. But as you can see, some copper randomly generated and some sand randomly generated. So if I mine those, as you can see, my total inventory worth will go up, and the total ores in my inventory will go up, and I'll say I have 2 sand, 1 dirt, 2 copper. And if we go deeper, it will generate more rare things. So I'm going to go down to the stone layer and just show you that more things generate once I go down there. Alright, as you can see, I've mined down to stone, and right here there's already a new ore, but there's still copper and other ores down here like silver that spawn in the dirt layer. But there's also gold, so there's like a bit of a simple algorithm, I guess, that decides how likely an ore is to spawn in each layer. So some won't spawn in specific layers, some spawn at different amounts of different layers. And next I'm basically just going to go over the generation script. Alright, so this is the script that it uses to generate the ores. It's actually pretty simple. All that it does is there's a variable called oregen, and then it's going to just generate a number between 1 and 10,000. And then here it's going to basically choose which one the number is between, which range. So like, let's say that it's 1,000, it would be between 750 and 150. So then it would generate copper, but only if we were within the range of the dirt layer. So it's going to check if the position is between the bottom dirt layer and the bottom of the surface layer. And so if our range is between that, if our position is between that, and we get 1,000, then it will generate copper. And if it's between 150 and 185 between the dirt layer and the surface layer, it'll generate silver, so on. And if we're on a different layer, if it's between the stone layer and the dirt layer, and it's 1,000, it will instead generate ruby, so on. This is just going through and will generate an ore based on the number. And if it doesn't generate any of these, I'll show you next part later. We'll just generate the block for the layer, the default block. Okay, so how it decides what default block it's going to generate, it just checks right here. If it's between the dirt layer and the surface layer, it's going to generate a dirt block, and if it's between the dirt layer and the stone layer, it's going to generate a stone block, so on. And if none of those are true, if none of these are true, it's going to generate a bedrock, which means that it's at the bottom of the world and you can't mine it. I also thought I would go through and show like all of the models for all of the ores. So as you can see, like each one of these is a different ore that I created, and there's properties for each, like the brick color and the material, and obviously some advanced 3D modeling right here, all cubes. So I thought I'd just go ahead and showcase that. That's another thing that I worked on during this project. Alright, so the next thing I wanted to show you was the section of my code that basically saves all the data after you leave the game, and it will reload it again once you rejoin. So right here there's a function called default stats, and basically what it's doing is it's creating a folder called leader stats, and then it's storing a string value called money, mind, and depth inside of it. And then also down here in create inventory, it's creating an inventory folder which is going to save a number value for each of the ores that you have that show up in the inventory GUI. Alright, so right here is the function that detects when a new player joins the game and loads in their stats that were previously saved in the database. So basically, players.playerAddedConnect, when a player connects, it's going to take the player's username and basically set stats for them, like their camera zoom distance, their health distance, their name distance, and then it's going to load the functions, create the inventory, it's going to open the default stats, and it's going to manage their pickaxe, which basically just makes sure that they have the right pickaxe, which is for the future in case I want to add more pickaxes that you could like upgrade your pickaxe, and it would make sure it loads in the right pickaxe for them, basically. Another thing I created was a function to reduce the lag if the mine gets too big. If people mine too many of the blocks, then the game will get pretty laggy because there's so many objects. So I had it, there's a variable that's the max capacity, and then it's going to check the capacity if it gets over a certain amount, if the amount of blocks is over the max capacity. And what that's going to do is it's going to give a message that says to everyone playing the game that the limit has been reached, and then it's going to teleport everyone to the surface after a certain amount of time, and then basically this just teleports their character torso to the surface, and then it's going to look at all of the blocks, and then it's going to delete them all. Basically, it's going to clear all the children of the block field, and then it is going to give everyone a message that says they can now dig, and it's going to completely reset the thing, and this will help basically reduce lag if too many blocks are mined. So this is another useful function that I created for the game. So that's basically everything that I was able to add over the time of the final project. Obviously the game is not completely done, so in the future I'm going to work on it a little bit more, probably over the summer, and then I'm going to release it, and hopefully people will actually play my game, and I can get some of the Roblox digital currency Robux. That would be pretty awesome, but I don't know. My plan is just to keep working on and release it, I guess. I made some good progress, and I definitely learned a lot about some new things that I hadn't done before in Roblox Studio. So, and I learned a lot about like game development, stuff like that.